Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Cloud Wars Live. We're delighted you could make it here in mid-November as we're moving into the holiday season and lots of things going on in the business world. The digital revolution continues apace, and we are delighted to have one of our monthly digital all-star guests. Bonnie Tinder is the CEO of Raven Intel, which does peer review on software implementations and the partners company use for those implementations. Bonnie, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Likewise, Bob. This is one of my favorite things to do all month, so I'm so glad to be here again.
Well, wonderful. Thank you, Bonnie. That's great. And, I see behind you, it seems to be a key message that you're hammering through on people. Simplify things. And is that, are folks listening, Bonnie?
It's first a message to myself, and as a reminder, I'm continually looking at that. But every month I pick a word that I really want to rally around, and it really helps. In every single meeting, it's a reminder that we all need to simplify. So yes, I guess so.
So, Bonnie, one of the things that in that theme of simplifying. I have had the privilege to be around the sort of enterprise tech business for quite a while. And one of the truisms that has endured, and it was important then, I mean, some stuff just gets to be a cliche or it sounds very intellectual, but it doesn't really mean anything. But one of the things that really has endured over quite a long time, and perhaps it's even more important today than ever before, that people who do this sort of work that you and your colleagues at Raven Intel do of trying to help people understand transformation and projects and implementations, I've always heard that technology change isn't easy, but relative to people change and getting people to change how they operate, technology change is relatively easy. So I thought it was great that the focus of your talk today was a lot about people and teams. So tell us what was on your mind and how that bubbled up for you.
For sure. I think these technology projects are ultimately about people. They're not about machines. And at their core, they depend on, number one, people to, get them up and running and the projects up and running successfully. But they also depend on the end user and the end sort of result being adopted by people. So, the essence of these technology projects and transformations is making life easier for people, not robots. Despite the fact that we're really focused around the tools and the technology itself, but at the end of the day, the people side of that equation is paramount.
Yeah. Bonnie, can I tell you one anecdote? It happens to be around the part of the country that you're in. I believe you're in a suburb of Chicago, but Raven Intel's based. This is 10, 12, 15 years ago, but I was talking at an event with a guy. He was one of the technology leaders at the Chicago Board of Trade, and very, very fun, engaging guy. But one of the things that he said was, he said, people in IT don't always get the best reputation. So he said, we have some applications. He said, they're not really that good. They often happen to break down. And he said, I could replace them, but I don't want to do that because it gives my team a chance to go in and fix these problems. And then my people are seen as heroes. And I hope I didn't register too much shock on my face, but I just thought, wow, that he's got in some ways the right idea. You want the people to be the heroes, but God, what a bizarre way to go about trying to make it. And so to the point behind you there of simplify, he was trying to get good outcomes by making things more complex, wildly more complex. There's got to be a better way.
That's right. His word would be complicate.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's ensuring job security for him and his team. So.
Yeah. So they're taking the long way around to it. But Bonnie, it was great. I thought you came up with a wonderful idea here about for these big projects companies are doing. And I think what's so important today is, right, every company is going through these wild transformations, not just technology transformations, but business model transformations, engagement, revenue models, and so forth like that. and your emphasis today about the power and the impact of people and how the projects are really about people, I thought it was great. You came up with an idea about how to put together a great dream team. So share with us, Bonnie, some of your thinking on that and what are the right components for a dream team?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Bob, we've talked in the past about the importance of having the A team to make sure a project is successful. And when you're selling your internal stakeholders and your CFO on the importance of a project and why it needs funding, if they don't see that you've assembled a team behind you to make that successful, they're not going to want to invest in that project. So I think what I wanted to do today was take it a click down to say, what is it that makes a team successful, or what's going to set your team up for success throughout a project? And, and I think there's several things to think about as you're thinking about the group that is going to be responsible for carrying out and delivering the results on a particular project. We say a team, and really a project is a microcosm of a workforce. It takes, the ability to work as a group together, but it puts sort of a box around, a point in time that everybody needs to operate successfully. So, chances are if you manage your own, function, and you're good at hiring, this is going to be, sort of like, part of your DNA. You're going to know how to do this effectively. But I want to talk a little bit about the nuances of how do you hire like a team, so to speak, internally for a particular project, because there's a couple more components than just having a good hire or hiring a good group for a function.
Bonnie, that's a great point. So a couple things. First, I wanted to ask you before you get into that, in a second, tell us a little bit about, you didn't learn about this through reading books, right? You have lived this, you've done it, you've been involved to it up to your elbows and beyond with this. So I'd just like you to give people a little bit of an idea of how many of these things have you lived through, right? So it's not theory, you have done this, and you've battled your way through these things. And the other side is, when you talk about this dream team, it's a combination, as you say, of getting the right people in there, and you've got to have the right leader on top, right? Because you get a dream team, and on the notes that you had sent over, you've got the picture of an NBA dream team, and you've got these phenomenally talented and capable individuals, but you got to have a leader who is able to convince and cajole and demonstrate to everybody we'll achieve a lot more working as a team than we will as individuals. So
Yeah.
please, Brian, a little bit about how you've lived these things for 20 years, and then please jump into your ideas.
Yeah. So that dream team picture, if you can, in your mind, I'm from Chicago. Of course, I had to have the Chicago Bulls as my representation of the dream team. And if you think about the person at the top, definitely, you always think of Michael Jordan, but really and truly, that was Phil Jackson that I would call the project leader. And so I'll talk a little bit about how he assembled that team, because his ball carrier, obviously, Michael Jordan, greatest basketball player that ever lived. But he was one huge component of the team, really the one sort of setting the vision and things like that. Was Phil Jackson. He was in charge of the hiring and all of that sort of stuff. So we'll get to that in a second. To the point of, have I lived this before? Oh my goodness, all too well. I have been part of hundreds of projects myself. I started my career actually in implementation, leading these type of projects for a software vendor. And then throughout my career, really in different functions, I've been part of SWAT teams and teams around initiatives, teams around implementing a new piece of software. So I will tell you from experience, I have seen projects where we were implementing really poor technology, but had a super strong team end up great. And I have seen the inverse as well, where we were, where the customer, where I personally was, implementing a technology that was amazing and cost a lot of money and was known as like the gold standard, and the project failed because of bad people. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I've lived it. I wish I could say that that I've done a ton of external research and scholarly articles on this. This is really what I have learned in my career, as well as what I hear from our customers out on ravenintel.com, having lived through these things every single day.
Oh, Bonnie, that's fantastic. So with that perspective, how do I put together a dream team?
I think number one, as you mentioned before, Bob, you need to have executive sponsorship at the very top. That's going to allow you to be able to, have the resources and sort of the juice internally to get the best people on the team. And if the project warrants it, you should have the ability to pull the best leaders from the organization to either be part of that core team or at least part of the ambassador team or the larger group. So I would say you need that executive sponsorship to help you, number one, assemble the team, but also make sure that that project gets sold internally and gets the exposure that it deserves. So you can have a great team, you can have a great project, a weak leader that doesn't really help get the awareness from leadership internally, that's not going to fly. So A1A is you have a strong executive sponsor who's willing to stick their neck out and make sure that you get what you need. I think number two, in terms of assembling the group, you want people who have managed projects or done this type of projects before, who've had some level of experience in that. So that really helps. That's definitely a strong trait, is somebody who has done a project before. I think also somebody internally, or the folks internally, need to have internal credibility and excelled at the function that they either operate in or manage themselves. That definitely helps. I think your resources also have to be able to work not only with internal team members, but external as well, because these projects are not going to be just run internally. They're always, if they're large enough, they're going to have an outside component. So your software vendor is one, and your consulting firm or your SI partner is another. And so the ability to manage yourselves internally, but also work with your SI, work with the software vendor, requires a little bit, broader of a, skill set than somebody that's used to just operating internally.
So Bonnie, it's fascinating here as you talking about put together the A team, and that sort of ties in with what our sponsor BMC is talking about with the A game. BMC wants you to know, is your business on its A game? That's when systems are intelligent by learning from markets, where automation is paramount yet effortless, and when technology and people work as one in an enterprise. The A game is your business at its absolute best. BMC calls this the autonomous digital enterprise. Find out more at bmc.com/A game. So, Bonnie, I really liked, what you said here too. The scope of the talent within the team has to be one that can not just take care of stuff, inwardly looking at the project, but how do you connect to the outside world and continue to evangelize, continue to ensure that everything is being in place to optimize, the final outcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think another component is, the ability within the group to work as a team. I think, it's relational type of stuff, but when you think about a project team, it's really going to be multifunctional. It's not just the group that's used to working together and probably has a good rapport. You're going to bring, let's say people from finance and human resources and IT together. And so, the people that you have need to, number one, hopefully like each other. And if they don't, have sort of the emotional IQ to at least figure out how to work together effectively. So, you don't want any jerks on the team, I guess is what you would say. You want even if those are the A players, if they're going to disrupt that unity as a team, you don't need that. You don't need that friction. So, people who internally have the ability to work well with others, I mean, that's sort of a given that you want. And also who are culturally aligned, people who are progressive, who are open to change, who support the initiative of the project. Again, you can have a great resource, but if they don't believe in the project, they don't believe that it's an important enough initiative that they're going to, sort of switch gears and put their heart into it. Also, you don't need that. So you need people who are culturally aligned and also committed to see the project succeed. I think along those same lines, I mentioned progressive thinkers. You don't want people who are wedded to the past. It's always helpful for people to have, a history of what the past has looked like. So you don't want complete newbies to the organization. On the other hand, you don't want the folks who, are going to be the ones that are always going to bring up, well, we always did it this way and the process needs to be that way. You want people who are willing to think outside the box and say, hey, there's a reason we're investing in a program like this. And it's not so that we could just, take our old spaghetti and put it in a new, container. And so it's people who are really willing to see a vision of change and of progress, not people who are wedded to the past.
Bonnie, is that a hard sort of personality trait to find?
I think the longer that someone is in the organization, it can be harder, right? Because they are, change is not easy. It's not easy. And that's all of what these projects are about. So it's almost like you want a balance of somebody who's going to come in, see a fresh approach and be excited about starting with a blank canvas. And yet you want somebody who understands sort of why the legacy process was in place the way it was. I mean, many times with these projects, it's not like you can throw, all of your process out the window, because there's a reason that process was in place. You have risk mitigation and, and legal processes that you sort of need to ensure that you're caring for throughout. And so some of the folks who are aware of how things were done in the past can be that sort of project historian, if you will. But the last thing that you want, though, is the project historian that's going to try and really derail any progression and change.
And Bonnie, that that's something that ties in with a line that I understand it, but it has lost to me a great deal of its context or relevance or value, and I think it can be quite harmful in these days, which is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And more and more today, right, it's things that can be working fine, so they're not broken, but they don't match up to where the world is headed. They don't give your company the best chance to engage meaningfully with customers. They don't give you the best chance to drive innovation faster than your competitors are. So there's a great description of the historian. We value that knowledge, that rich knowledge of the past that you bring along, but don't apply that as a filter or an obstacle or as a hump that everything has to go through that. And I think of that character from Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore. And it's like, oh, well, it won't work anyway. And, just it always takes if we just did it the way we always did, everything would be, why do we have to do something different? But that's the way the world is. And I think there's somewhere between 2 and 2.5 billion people around the planet now who are looking for things to change, faster ways of doing stuff, new ways of engaging with the world, often through digital technology. And those 2.5 billion people are having a massive ripple effect all the way up B2C, B2B, every sort of company in the world. We got to find new ways of doing stuff. So, again, that balance that has to happen here. Bonnie, really, really good insights. So who else is on our dream team? What else are you looking for?
Well, I have to bring this up as an organization that looks at consulting partners responsible for these type of projects. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about them. So on your dream team, you want the external, best of the best as well. So the SI that you choose, or we call them SIs in this world of software, you might know them as a consulting company. They're the ones who are going to lead your project from a technical perspective. You want to choose the best fit of a resource to work with your team. They're going to be the extension of your internal team. And so you want a group that, number one, has done the type of project that you've done. And so you want to make sure that they have a track record of success, and they have worked with the software, with the geographies, and with the scope and industry that you are in. So as many of those sort of previous references that you can find that are like you and your project, the better. And certainly Raven Intel can help you there, because all we do is customer references around projects led by partners. So that's a big thing. I think, the other thing as well is you need to make sure that during the partner selection process that you're meeting the team that is going to be actively managing your project. Because the worst thing that could happen is that you love your sales team, the group that, they bring in. They're going to bring in the A team during your partner selection in that sales process before you sign a contract. But then, lo and behold, you sign the contract and all of a sudden the JV team comes in to manage the project. And that's not what you want. You want to make sure that you're getting the varsity team during the sales process, and they're the same resources that are going to stick with you throughout the project.
Yeah. Bonnie, I was thinking of this and something you said before, and each point that you're making sort of reinforces this. I'm on the board of an IT services company, and in their mission statement, it says very bluntly, very clearly, no jerks. Right? And that can just derail this, right? All the planning, all the technical knowledge, the historian, the deep tech people, the customer facing people, all that. It's so important. And the time frames today are so crunched to really get it right. So yeah, you're sharing a very, very potent and powerful recipe here, Bonnie.
For sure. And, I think that, along the same vein, in terms of getting your team really all aligned and assembled and all of those things, your project is going to last more than a month or 2 months or even 6 months. Many times these projects go on for a year, sometimes even longer than that if they're huge. You want a team that is signed on for the duration of that project, and sometimes contractually as well. In a year's time, think of how many internal changes that you've seen on your team, or maybe that you've even had personally, right? People get promoted, people go to different companies, people, have different interests, and all of a sudden they lose sort of momentum being on the team, or they, and things like that. You want to really be clear, depending on how long your project is, about what the duration of time that people sort of need to sign on for. The same way as, Michael Jordan signed on for a year or 2-year contract. It's the same thing with your team. You don't want to hire a Michael Jordan, to be your point player, and then lo and behold, he's going to get traded to, somewhere else, right? So,
Yeah.
so you really want to have something that people can commit to. It's easy in a contractual standpoint with your SI, right? Because you have a legal piece of paper that says, hey, you are committed to this project, and hopefully you do. But like internally, that's less formalized. So is how should I say? You can put incentives in place for people to stay throughout the duration of the project, or even sort of just something that shows, hey, people are well aware that this is a year's commitment, and they're not going to sort of just decide not to do it after a certain period of time. Or if they move to a different function, they're still on the hook to be in part of the project team.
Yeah. So, there's chemistry, there's all that, and there's got to be the consistency that you've described, right? Because on the one hand, internally, it doesn't do the project team any good to have, key people flying in and out. But from the client's point of view or the customer's point of view, they've got to be, at every stage of that one. And, what the hell are you doing here? We're starting to make progress. You promised me this. So, yeah, Bonnie, good points.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think just to sort of reiterate and add to what you just mentioned there. Again, these projects depend on people to make them go, make them successful, and all of the great software that you have selected is not going to implement itself. You really need the strength of people internally to get that project off the ground and to give it life.
Bonnie, one of the things I thought about, I wanted to mention to you, there's an executive who up until recently, he led the digital transformation business at one of the largest tech companies in the world. He's left that company, but I talked to him several months ago, and I was asking him about talent and, what sort of talents he's trying to bring in. And he said over the last 2 or 3 years, with a lot of these digital transformation projects, he said that he found a new source of talent coming in were people who were designers. And he said also people that had, and he's chuckling as he said this, an anthropology background. He said, I think in both cases, it was folks who are able to step outside of their own immediate concern and see things from the outside in, through the lens of the partner, through the lens of the customer, and then assimilate those things into a fairly broad canvas. So I just think, you might put together here, Bonnie, a paper or something like that, Tinder's rules of A-team success.
I like it. I like it. I think, I think just this topic has, an importance, and there's definitely both an art and a science to doing it, and probably warrants, putting this down on paper. So yeah, great thought.
And Bonnie, any last words you'd have for folks about this? That they, what's the sort of the one thing above all else that they got to do right to get that A team that's going to drive a phenomenally successful project?
Mm-hmm. I think, that executive sponsorship and mentorship is huge. If you can start from a firm foundation there, and then get that person to also help you sort of show them, hey, this is who I'm thinking about. Get their feedback on that team. That person has leadership internally. They're going to have managed teams before themselves, and I think getting that sort of outside wisdom it would be really good. But starting that firm foundation from the very top, I think is probably, your first priority. And then I think, also leaning on your SI or your partner, because they do this all the time. They know what good internal teams look like. Run your selection past them, sort of why you've selected who you've had, get their input on it. And they always can offer some good feedback as well, because they see this all the time, and they see projects that are good and projects that are not.
Bonnie, your company, Raven Intel, about how many partners have you evaluated? Or if somebody's looking for help from a partner, how many different partner sources could they see on ravenintel.com?
Yep. So we have 200 of the partners that we have rated out there for six different of the six major enterprise software packages from SAP, Oracle, ServiceNow, Ultimate Software, and several others that Unit 4 that they can look at and see all the partners out there. We have 950 project reviews individually. So you can look at any number of the customer, project sentiment that has been provided across all of those software packages as well.
All right. And that's available at ravenintel.com. Bonnie, before you go, we won't see you again until, early mid-December. And at that point, you'll have a new word or thought or concept for the month behind you. Are you willing to give out any hints on what direction you're going after Simplify?
I guess we'll just have to keep your viewers and audience hanging till next month to find out what the word for December is.
That's right. All right. Well, there's the hook. Bonnie, thanks. It's always a pleasure having you. Thanks a lot for the great ideas about the A-team.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Bob.
All right, folks. Thanks to all of you out there, the very fabulous Cloud Wars Live audience. Hope you've enjoyed this as well. We look forward to seeing you next time. If I don't see you over the next week or so, happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Be safe, have a lot of fun, and we'll see you soon.